Have you ever looked into the mirror and wondered when exactly your reflection began to change? Not in a bad way, just different. The lines that weren't there before, the silver where there used to be brown or black or gold, the slower rise from a chair, the longer pause before a sentence. And with it, maybe a quiet voice that asks, is this what it means to grow old? We've been taught to fear that moment, that aging is something to resist, to hide, to battle with creams and pills and euphemisms. We hear the words anti-aging so often, it's easy to forget that aging isn't the enemy. In fact, it's one of the most natural, powerful, and transformative processes we ever get to experience. So let's start here with a truth that might surprise you. Aging is not a decline. It's a transformation, and it holds more beauty than anyone told you. For most of our lives, we've been conditioned to believe that aging means deterioration, that it's a slow fading into irrelevance, weakness, and loss. That after 65, you're supposed to step aside, stay quiet, be content with your memories while the rest of the world moves on without you. But that's a myth, a very persistent, very damaging myth. Because the truth is, your body may change, but your value does not. Your face may carry more lines, but your spirit deepens. And while you may not run as fast, or lift as much, or remember every single name, you've gained something far more valuable than speed or sharpness. You've gained perspective. You've gained resilience. You've gained the wisdom that only comes from decades of living, loving, losing, and rising again. So let's be bold. What if aging isn't about fading, but about unfolding? Think about a tree in autumn. Its leaves turn golden, not because they're dying, but because they're becoming something breathtaking. Think about a violin. The older it gets, the richer its tone. Think about wine, about wood, about people. Age doesn't lessen value. It concentrates it. And yet, we often set ourselves up to expect the worst. We brace for aches, for loneliness, for boredom, for illness. We watch the people around us slow down or struggle and assume we must follow the same path. But that doesn't have to be your story. Because while aging does bring change, it also brings choice. You can choose to see this stage of life not as an ending, but as a beginning. You can choose to rewrite the narrative you've been handed, to stop viewing 65 as a cliff and start seeing it as a curve in the road, one that opens into landscapes you never imagined. Here's what no one told you. The best secrets to healthy aging aren't just in your genes or your gym routine. They're in your mindset. It's the difference between saying, I can't do that anymore, and saying, what new things can I do now? It's the shift from I miss who I was to I'm curious about who I'm still becoming. It's the quiet power of setting realistic, loving expectations, not based on who you used to be, but on who you are now, in this moment. Let me tell you about Teresa. She's 69, a former nurse, and she told me recently, I thought life would shrink after retirement. I thought I'd be small, invisible, irrelevant. But instead, I feel freer than I've ever been. Why? Because she stopped chasing who she used to be and started discovering who she was now. She took up painting, started swimming again, reconnected with her high school friend over coffee. She said, I feel like I'm blooming backward. I'm not getting younger, I'm getting more. And that's the truth we often miss. You don't have to get younger to feel more alive. You just have to give yourself permission to keep evolving. So let's set some new expectations for this journey ahead. Let's expect your body to change. and learn how to care for it with kindness, not frustration. Let's expect your mind to shift and explore ways to keep it sharp, curious, and open. Let's expect that you'll grieve some things, but also gain others. Depth, clarity, meaning, peace. Let's expect that some days will be hard, but also that joy isn't done with you yet. Because joy isn't reserved for the young. It doesn't retire. It doesn't care about wrinkles or birthdays or step counts. It shows up when you invite it. When you welcome it into your life, not with force, but with softness. And if you're willing to look closely, you might find that this stage of life holds more room than ever before. More space to breathe, to reflect, to pursue the things you never had time for, to reconnect with yourself, with others, with the small pleasures of being alive. What comes next isn't about fixing your body. It's about understanding it, honoring it, working with it. Because aging doesn't make you less whole. It makes you more layered, more seasoned, more grounded in the truth of who you are. And that truth is this: you're not done, not even close. You're still growing, still becoming, still unfolding into something beautiful. And in the next part of this journey, we're going to explore exactly how to live vibrantly, not by turning back the clock, but by walking forward with purpose, joy, and strength. This isn't the decline of your story. This is the rise. So now that we've softened the fear around aging and opened the door to possibility, it's time to step through it. And what's waiting on the other side isn't a strict routine or a medical checklist. It's something far more liberating. It's the invitation to live differently, not less, but deeper, not faster, but fuller. Because vibrancy doesn't mean doing what you did at 30. It means waking up in your 60s, 70s, or 80s with the sense that your life still has flavor, that your days have texture, that your choices still shape your story. Let's unlock what vibrant living actually looks like when you stop chasing youth and start chasing meaning. It starts with the body, but not in the way we're used to hearing. We're not talking about flattening bellies or chasing six-packs. We're talking about movement that feels good, movement that reminds you you're alive. You see, physical activity after 65 isn't about performance, it's about participation. It's about showing up in your own life with energy and presence. It's about staying nimble enough to garden without pain, stable enough to walk with confidence, strong enough to dance at your granddaughter's wedding or climb the steps of a museum in Paris. And here's the beautiful part. Movement can look like anything. Dancing in the kitchen to your favorite song, stretching your arms out on the porch with the morning sun, joining a gentle Tai Chi class in the park, where everyone moves like water and no one rushes. One woman I spoke to recently, her name is Clara, she's 72, told me that she started going to a community gardening group once a week. She thought it would just be a nice hobby. But after a few months, she noticed something. She was sleeping better, laughing more, feeling less stiff. I didn't realize how much I missed moving until I started again, she said. It's like my muscles remembered they had a job to do. That's the secret. Your body remembers. You don't have to push it. You just have to invite it back into motion. But vibrant living isn't just physical. It's also about connection. Because we're not meant to age alone. We're meant to be witnessed, to be heard, to be held in relationship. As we grow older, friendships shift. Families get busy, social circles shrink. But our need for connection doesn't disappear. In fact, it becomes even more vital. Studies show that social isolation is one of the leading causes of cognitive decline and depression in older adults. But meaningful connection, real, joyful, life-giving interaction has the opposite effect. It sharpens the mind, strengthens the heart, extends life. That doesn't mean you have to host dinner parties or join a club if that's not your thing. Connection can be small. A weekly phone call with a friend, talking to your neighbor while watering the plants, writing letters, sharing stories, or joining something new. A choir, a walking group, a storytelling circle, even a local charity that needs warm hands and wise voices. What matters is not how many people you know, but how seen you feel by the people around you. Because feeling seen, that's fuel. That's fire in the soul. That's a kind of energy no vitamin can replace. And here's another layer. Your mind needs movement too. Just like your body stiffens from stillness, your brain slows when left unstimulated. But unlike in our younger years, we no longer need to cram for knowledge or prove ourselves. Now, we get to learn for the joy of it. That might look like taking up photography, or learning to play a few songs on the piano, or picking up a new language. Not because you plan to travel, but because it tickles your brain in a new way. One gentleman, David, 76, taught himself to paint during the pandemic. "I've never taken an art class in my life," he said, "but something in me just wanted color again." Now, he teaches beginner painting at the senior center. "It's not about being good," he said, "it's about being engaged." That's the word I want you to hold on to. Engaged. A vibrant life is not about perfection. It's about participation. It's about getting back in the ring, not to fight time, but to dance with it. And that brings us to one of the quietest, most powerful ingredients of vibrant aging: mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just about sitting still and breathing, though that's a beautiful place to start. It's about awareness. It's about slowing down enough to notice how the tea smells, how the breeze feels, how your body responds to rest. It's about being in the present moment with your full self, not stuck in regrets about the past or fear about the future. And that kind of presence doesn't just feel good. It rewires your brain. It lowers blood pressure. It reduces inflammation. It even protects your memory. So when you pause for a breath, when you look at a sunset without checking your watch, when you eat a peach slowly and savor it, you're not just relaxing. You're actively healing. You're returning home to yourself. So what is vibrant living after 65? It's not a set of rules. It's a rhythm of moving when it feels right, of reaching out when you need laughter, of learning when your curiosity calls, of being still when the moment asks for silence. You don't need to do more. You just need to be more awake to what you're already doing. And maybe that's the most unexpected secret of all, that the life you want isn't somewhere far away. It's right here, in your body, in your breath, in your relationships, in your choices or choices. You just have to reach for it, gently, daily, with joy. If your body were a garden, food would be the sunlight, water, and soil that helps it bloom. Not just survive, bloom. And the older we get, the more important it becomes to give that garden exactly what it needs to stay vibrant. But here's the tricky part. After 65, the way our bodies respond to food changes. Quietly, subtly, but significantly. The meals that once fueled us now might leave us feeling sluggish. The snacks we used to love might trigger bloating, fogginess, or discomfort. And yet, so many of us keep eating the same way. Not because we don't care, but because we haven't been told how much of a difference small shifts can make. So let's look at food not as a set of rules, but as a relationship. One built on listening, intention, and love. You don't need to become a nutritionist. You don't need to count every calorie. You just need to start noticing what helps you feel clearer, lighter, more energized, and what seems to steal that away. Because the food we eat speaks to our bodies. Every bite sends a message. And after 65, your body is asking for a new kind of conversation. Let's begin with the most life-giving shift of all: the power of plants. A Mediterranean-inspired way of eating, rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, olive oil, and lean protein like fish, has been shown again and again to support longevity, brain health, and heart health in older adults. And here's why. Plants are full of life force. They carry fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that your body can recognize and use. It's not about going vegan. It's not about removing joy from your plate. It's about crowding in the good, adding color, texture, and freshness. A salad doesn't have to be boring. It can be a burst of flavor. Arugula with orange slices and walnuts. Tomatoes drizzled in olive oil. Roasted carrots with cumin. Warm lentil soup with garlic and lemon. Each of those foods isn't just delicious. They're also deeply functional. They fight inflammation, feed your gut, stabilize blood sugar, and keep your digestion moving smoothly. Because here's another truth we often overlook. As we age, digestion becomes more delicate. Our stomachs produce less acid. Our intestines absorb nutrients more slowly. That means we need food that's not just filling, but nourishing in a deeper way. And one of the most overlooked nutrients for seniors: water. Hydration isn't just about quenching thirst. It's about protecting your brain, your joints, your skin, and even your mood. As we get older, our sense of thirst fades. That means we can become dehydrated without even realizing it. Mild dehydration alone can lead to fatigue, headaches, confusion, and even a higher risk of falls. So before you reach for more coffee or tea, pause and ask, when's the last time I had a glass of water? Start your morning with a glass before anything else. Keep a carafe near your reading chair. Add lemon or mint if that makes it more enjoyable. Sometimes, the simplest things have the biggest impact. Now, let's talk about sugar. And not in a judgmental way. We all love sweetness. It brings comfort, nostalgia, a little spark of joy. But processed sugars, especially in baked goods, sodas, and packaged snacks, can send our energy on a roller coaster and strain our internal systems. What if instead of cutting sugar completely, we simply chose smarter sources? A square of dark chocolate, a baked apple with cinnamon, fresh mango on a hot day, dates with almond butter. These are foods that satisfy and still offer something back: fiber, minerals, antioxidants. This isn't about guilt. It's about guidance. You're not bad for enjoying dessert. You're simply learning what supports your best energy. Another powerful shift: eating with awareness. In our younger years, meals were often rushed, eaten while working, driving, watching television. But now, there's space for something new: mindful eating. What does that look like? It looks like sitting down, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Taking a breath before your first bite. Chewing slowly, noticing the flavors, the textures, the smell. Feeling how your body responds as you eat. This isn't a luxury. It's a practice that helps digestion, reduces overeating, and brings a quiet joy back to something we do every day. And here's something else we don't talk about enough: eating alone. Many people over 65 find themselves dining solo more often than they'd like. And it's easy to think, Why bother cooking something nice just for me? But you are worth the effort. You deserve the nourishment, the care, the ritual of a good meal, even if it's just for you. Light a candle, put on music, use the nice plate. Make it special, not because anyone's watching, but because you are living. And every moment can be made sacred with just a little intention. Finally, let's release the myth of perfection. You don't need to eat perfectly. You don't need to follow every rule. Your relationship with food doesn't have to be rigid. It just needs to be respectful. Respect your cravings, but get curious about them. Respect your traditions, but allow space for new habits. Respect your body, not for how it looks, but for how faithfully it's carried you all these years. And from that place of respect, choose meals that say, I care about you. Because eating well isn't about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. There's a quiet kind of health that doesn't show up on magazine covers. It doesn't shout in the form of six-pack abs or glowing skin. But it's there, in the steadiness of your breath, the softness of your mood, the ease in your joints when you rise from a chair. That kind of health is built from small, consistent practices. From listening instead of pushing. From caring instead of criticizing. And often, from giving attention to the things we were told to ignore. Because while we often chase the big solutions, new diets, new pills, new routines, it's the basics that change everything. And at this stage in life, wellness isn't about chasing youth. It's about building peace inside your body. Let's begin with one of the most overlooked superpowers you have access to: sleep. We all know we need it. But too often, sleep becomes something we treat like a luxury, something we'll catch up on later, or just accept as elusive. But deep, quality sleep is not optional. It's foundational. Sleep is where the body repairs itself, where the brain clears out toxins, where the immune system strengthens, where emotional processing happens quietly, behind the scenes. And yet, for many people after 65, sleep becomes harder to hold. You fall asleep easily but wake too early. Or you wake often through the night. Or you sleep enough hours but still feel groggy in the morning. Why does this happen? As we age, changes in hormones and brain chemistry affect our sleep-wake cycle. We produce less melatonin. Our circadian rhythms shift. Medications can interfere. So can late-night worry. So can a too-quiet house. But here's the good news. You don't have to accept poor sleep as inevitable. You can gently train your body to rest again. How? Start by honoring sleep as a ritual, not an afterthought. Create a winding down routine. Dim the lights after sunset. Sip something warm but non-caffeinated. Avoid screens for at least 30 minutes before bed. Play soft music or read something calming. Make your bedroom a place of rest, cool, dark, and quiet. Use blackout curtains if needed. Keep the TV out if you can. And most importantly, go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. These cues matter. They tell your body, it's safe now. You can rest. And if your mind won't stop racing, try writing your thoughts down before bed. Not to solve them, but to release them. Because rest isn't a reward for hard work. It's a right. It's part of your healing. Now let's talk about something that often robs us of that rest. Sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly. Stress. We tend to think of stress as a young person's problem. Deadlines, raising kids, juggling jobs. But stress doesn't retire when you do. In fact, for many people over 65, stress becomes even more intense because it goes unspoken. You worry about your health. about finances, about adult children, about losing independence, about the world changing too fast, about the silence that sometimes settles when no one calls. And when stress simmers below the surface long enough, it doesn't always show up as panic or worry. It shows up as fatigue, as tension in your shoulders, as headaches, as forgetfulness, as short temper, as that heavy, restless feeling in your chest. But here's the hopeful truth. Stress is not something you have to live with. It's something you can live through. One of the most effective ways to lower stress is by moving your body gently and breathing with awareness. You don't need to sit cross-legged in perfect silence. Just 5 minutes of slow, intentional breathing each morning can calm your nervous system. Try this. Inhale deeply for a count of 4, hold for 4. Exhale for 4, and hold again for 4. Repeat. That simple rhythm, done daily, can shift your entire state of being. Other ways? Gentle yoga, walking in nature, stretching with music, sitting on the porch and watching the sky change colors, holding a cup of tea with both hands and really tasting it. These are not small things. They are sacred interruptions in the noise of stress. Because when you create space for stillness, your body remembers how to soften. And in that softness, energy returns. And finally, let's talk about the most proactive thing you can do for your health: getting checked before something goes wrong. Preventive care is often overlooked because we don't like going to the doctor unless we have to. But catching changes early, whether it's blood pressure, cholesterol, bone density, or vision, can mean the difference between years of independence and years of limitation. It's not about fear, it's about freedom. The freedom to move, to choose, to plan, to live fully. So, if it's been a while, schedule that checkup. Not because something feels wrong, but because staying informed is staying empowered. Ask your doctor about screenings relevant for your age and gender. Don't be afraid to bring a list of questions. Take notes. Bring a friend or family member if it helps. You deserve to understand your body and how it's doing, not to feel lost or in the dark. And if something does come up, remember, treatment and prevention at this stage are about enhancing quality of life, not just extending it. You're not trying to be 30 again. You're trying to feel your best now. So what do health and wellness really look like after 65? They look like slow mornings and steady breaths, like choosing calm over chaos, like going to bed with a sense of peace and waking with a sense of possibility, like knowing your numbers, not to obsess, but to own your well-being, like saying yes to your body not because it's perfect, but because it's precious. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't need to be rigid or extreme. You just need to care, to listen, to respond with kindness. Because your health is not just the absence of disease, it's the presence of vitality, clarity, and ease. And you are absolutely worthy of that kind of health. There's something quiet and powerful that happens after 65. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It doesn't come with a celebration. But one day, you realize you've made it through a lifetime. You've worked. You've loved. You've lost. You've raised children. You've buried parents. You've weathered storms, both the kind that shook your home and the kind that shook your soul. You've survived things you never thought you could. And yet, here you are. Still standing, still breathing, still becoming. So the question isn't, what's left for me now? The question is, what do I want to do with this precious next chapter? Because that's what it is, a chapter, not a closing paragraph, not a postscript, not a quiet footnote in someone else's book. It's yours, and it deserves to be written with intention. Let's take a breath and imagine what it could feel like to live the rest of your life with full permission. Permission to wake up slowly, to stretch toward the sun, to listen to birdsong like it's the first time you've heard it. Permission to start something new. A class, a project, a friendship. Permission to stop something that no longer serves you. A habit, an obligation, a storyline you've outgrown. Permission to be visible, vibrant, valid, not in spite of your age, but because of it. One of the greatest myths of growing older is that you're supposed to shrink, to get smaller, quieter, to take up less space in the world. But what if now is the time to take up more space? To speak louder, to dream wilder, to love harder, to laugh without apology, to exist fully in a body that may not be flawless, but is still yours. That's not selfish. That's sacred. You've spent so much of your life showing up for others, being what the world needed you to be. Now, it's time to show up for yourself. And not in a rushed, fix-it-all kind of way, but in a soft, steady, meaningful way. Because you are still needed, still wanted, still woven into the fabric of this world. Here's something no one says enough. The world is better when you show up as your whole self. When you share your stories, when you pass on your wisdom, when you say, I don't know, and learn anyway. When you remind younger generations that aging isn't a curse, it's a privilege. And the more you lean into that truth, the more others will too. We need your presence, your steadiness, your humor, your clarity. We need your eyes that have seen both joy and grief, your voice that knows how to calm a room, your hands that have built and held and comforted. Your next chapter isn't just for you. It's for everyone who gets to witness you living with intention. So let's talk about what this chapter might include, not as a to-do list, but as a canvas. Maybe it's travel, not the kind that checks boxes, but the kind that fills you with wonder. Maybe it's learning something that's always intrigued you, history, poetry, photography, Tai Chi. Maybe it's mentoring someone younger, showing them what patience looks like, what resilience sounds like. Maybe it's creating art, gardens, recipes, music, or stories. Maybe it's simply waking up and choosing joy again and again. Whatever it is, it's not too late. You haven't missed your moment. You are the moment. And even if your life hasn't looked the way you imagined, even if you've faced disappointment, health struggles, heartbreak, your story still holds power. And power doesn't have an expiration date. Maybe no one told you this growing up, but let me say it clearly now. You are allowed to grow at your own pace. You are allowed to reinvent yourself. You are allowed to outgrow old dreams and plant new ones. You are allowed to live a life that surprises even you. And if you don't know where to begin, begin here. With your breath, with your body, with the tiniest spark of curiosity, with the question, what would feel good today? And the follow-up, how can I move one step closer to that? That's how transformation begins. Not with declarations, but with permission. So, as we close this journey together, let me remind you of something soft and true. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are wise. You are becoming. You are more than ready. There is no age limit on feeling alive. No deadline on healing. No rule book for how joy is supposed to look at 67, 73, or 89. All that matters is that you're here, and that you're still willing to say yes to life. Because in the end, aging isn't the end of the story. It's the part where you get to write with more freedom, more grace, more truth. And I don't know about you, but I think that sounds like a chapter worth reading. So go ahead. Start fresh. Say yes, step forward. You've already made it this far. Now, imagine how beautiful the rest can be. Bye, see you next time.